welcome to Bay Area Independent Filmmakers. My name is Connie Jo Sechrist and I am your host. We are here today to talk about a featured film inspired by Jeevan Zutshi's book, The Last Smile, which aims to increase awareness about the unregulated health supplement industry in the United States. It's a complex work of history, politics, and tragedy, based off the real-life story about Jeevan's son, Amit, and his sudden tragic death at age 30. Hi, Jeevan. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Connie. So good to see you again.
Good to see you, too.
Thank you for having me here.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming. So, coming to America in your book wasn't an easy task. What was the most challenging part of that?
Connie, the most challenging part was getting here. In 70s, we could apply for a green card, basically based on my standing as an engineer and having gone to college and stuff. And the Department of Labor had to approve you, so which was done. I was approved, and excuse me, and the biggest hurdle was getting someone to send you an affidavit of support, because you can't just come to a country without having any resources. And the only people who could do that for you were people who had a green card already. So I had my sister here who had just moved with her son, with her husband, but they were students.
Okay.
And her husband was a PhD student at UC Berkeley, and they were not immigrants. So it became very difficult. So I had to basically, deal with that challenge.
And were there any criteria for your immigration that was open to everybody from your country from
Connie,
birth?
what happened was that if you go back and visit the history pages, you will know that after the Civil Rights Act, they had this Immigration and Naturalization Act, which was passed in 1965. And earlier, the immigration, it was very selective. It was limited to Western countries. But after the Civil Rights and the Immigration and Naturalization Act was passed back in 1965, it opened the doors for lots of people from different countries who could not come earlier. So, as part of that, I was also, as an engineer, young student, I was able to, apply for immigration, and it was under third preference, they called it, which was limited to doctors, engineers, scientists, and persons of exceptional ability. That's what, it was the third preference. And based on that, I was able to immigrate. And of course, my sister and, her husband, they were here, so I really didn't have to worry about anything. I had a warm home and the love and affection of my sister. And I was lucky. I got a job within the first month I arrived.
Wow.
So, it was a very fortunate moment for me, even though I suffered for 2 years because I could not enter the country. But the country was going through a lot of, bad time here, Vietnam War and all those things.
Yeah.
So it was timely. If I had come earlier, I would have been drafted, or it's possible I would have been drafted to Vietnam War, because if you were less than 25, they would draft you. So I think it all worked well, and I came here, and
And what did you hope to gain coming to America for yourself and your family?
What we all really liked at that age, or at any age, is economic independence. You want a good life, education, and raise a family, in a much better environment.
Yeah, and you had both of your sons here, right?
They were born later, much later.
Yeah.
My first son, Amit, that we're talking about, he was born in 1977.
Okay.
And my second son was born in 1982.
And how were the kids growing up as?
Oh, beautiful. They were growing up very, very nicely. Like Amit, he was a very lustrous, gleaming, beautiful boy. Showed a lot of interest in sports, and a very, very extremely bright young boy who was always smiling. And of course, then my second son Rahul, who is who has grown into a wonderful man now. He got his MBA from Kellogg and masters from Georgetown, and he's a good kid, and his wife also is the same way. So nothing to complain.
Nothing to complain about. Great. And can you share some light, some knowledge that you've learned about the supplement industry in the United States since this story happened?
As you know, Connie, this industry, the supplement industry in the U.S., it's very challenging. I have in the past 7 years, I have been trying in my own small way to lobby and hit the doors of Congress, and it's very difficult to fight this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
And I actually have a wonderful article which might be very informative for our listeners. And as you know, I mean, big pharma, it's a big business,
Yeah.
as we said, and the motive is profit. So when the motive is profit, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you about this article. This was written in, I think, February this year. And it's just saying the New York Attorney General's office told GNC, Target, Walgreens, and Walmart, I mean all these big stores, to pull several store brand supplements when most of them were found to contain things other than what their labels advertised. Can you
Really?
believe it?
So they were lying about.
And
what's in the supplement.
it's including allergens like wheat that are potentially dangerous to some consumers. At all the stores investigated, the St. John's wort contained absolutely no St. John's wort. Likewise, the ginkgo biloba had no ginkgo biloba. Instead, many of the products contained nothing but cheap fillers, including a common house plant called Dracaena. But that's just the latest report of misleading and potentially harmful supplements which have been piling up for years. And also I'll quote New York Times. New York Times, has further noted that there have been documented cases of disease outbreaks due to supplements, such as a 2013 outbreak of hepatitis that struck at least 72 people in 16 states and were traced to a tainted supplement. 3 people required liver transplants and 1 woman died. It also described hospitals facing supplement problems, such as a recent case of an infant at Connecticut hospital dying when doctors gave the child a popular prebiotic supplement that turned out to be contaminated with yeast. Can you believe it?
Wow.
And this is on and on. I mean, consumer reports reveal that of 54,000 supplements listed in the National Medicine's comprehensive database, only a third have been scientifically supported level of safety. Only a third. And there's plenty of statistics like this. It's all a war waged by big pharma to take away our health freedom. So this big pharma, it's just, unfortunately, it's not regulated by FDA.
Yeah.
And FDA regulates drugs, but this is not a drug. These are supplements.
It's
These are
chemicals.
dietary supplements.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, nothing can replace real food.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing can replace that. But there's such a, unfortunate mislabeling, and also the fine print. When you go to these wonderful stores, which are very legitimate, like GNCs, Walmarts, and when you go there and you see these beautiful, nice racks, and you have all these things piled up there, and something you see and you say, yeah, that's very good. It's going to give me strength. It's going to give me vitamins. It's going to give me this. And now you just saw, I mean, this is not, I'm not saying this. That's why I quoted this,
Yeah.
Connie, because I'm not saying this. This is documented, and it happens year after year.
Yeah.
You have so many cases of death, and then suddenly they say, pull this from the stores, pull this, from these, like you just read,
Yeah.
about. Now, why? Why don't you regulate the industry? Why do we have to have deaths? Why do people have to perish? You can do that, before some people die. I mean, you can just check and see, are they real?
Yeah.
So that's the problem, Connie. The industry is misleading. It's a huge industry, and I'm sorry to say, but again, I'm not sorry to say, but
I'm like, yeah, you
but
shouldn't be
these-
sorry to say.
I
I'm
shouldn't be
sorry.
sorry to say, because
Yeah.
I paid a very heavy price. I mean, these people are supported by this industry. All
Yeah.
the politicians, they're supported by them, and it's big money. The doctors are supported by them. They're supported by them even in the medical schools. They pay for them. They give them all the goodies. They give them all the nice things.
Yeah.
So what do? You become a doctor. You prescribe, whichever, whatever you want to.
Yeah, and they make money off of
They make money off
prescribing.
of everything, and that's why you see in this country, all these doctors. They're, not all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but some who
Yeah.
always in every industry you have some people who have lost their, conscience and soul to big money.
Yeah.
So
Well, just the supplement industry in general.
In
You
general.
always see these commercials about this one pill that you can take and you can lose like 20 pounds in a week or something like that, and it's very misleading to people, and it's unhealthy.
Very, very misleading, and I guess that's one of the prices you pay when you're living in a democracy, and where you have rights, and where people abuse those rights, and so many other things,
Yeah.
so many other industries. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But we have to fight, we have to keep on knocking the doors. I have, even at the state level here, I talked to, I remember that we used to have an assembly member. He's not there anymore. And I spoke to him about this. And I'm on record saying that he now works for that industry.
Oh,
He
really?
works for them now after he lost his
Wow.
assembly membership and all those things. So what do? I mean, who do you trust? We have some politicians who are extremely honorable, but unfortunately, again, same thing.
Yeah. So, when did Amit, your son, start taking supplements, and did he tell you about it before exploring that?
Well, it's not only Amit having these supplements, but it's most of these young kids, they go
Yeah.
to gym a lot. I mean, they go to gym, and in the gyms, you see these things are being sold there.
Yeah.
And, you're a healthy young guy, and, you just look at this and it says it builds muscles. You kind of feel that I probably may need it.
Yeah.
And you have, those supplements. And something says it's a colon cleanser, and something says it's a, energy drink or anything, and it's going to give you energy. And you know, these young kids here that sport, some of them who are, most of them, they love sports. And now if you are a sports enthusiast and you are very much into sports and you just love it, you think that it's definitely going to be helpful to me. Now, Amit, when he was in high school, I just saw him getting some energy drinks and stuff. And honestly, you know, I had no idea what's in them because they're legitimate looking. I mean, they don't look like they are poisonous. And then, you know, it's something, it's not good for your health, but it's not going to kill you or anything. I mean, but then when he went to college, I could see that, you know, he would also have some more stuff that he would bring home in a very, you know, honest way. I mean, it was not like, it's not a drug or something that you have to hide it. I mean, these are just supplements and they're supposed to be good for you. Supposed to be.
It's not illegal.
So he used to bring them and, you know, stack them on a refrigerator, top of refrigerator or something, and we saw those nice, beautiful, you know, bottles. But I never looked at them. To answer your question, I never looked at them, didn't lift it and see, you know, it has caffeine, it's this, it's dangerous for your health, consult a physician. Those things, I didn't. Because, you know, as a parent, you're more concerned about how the child is doing at school, you know, what are your grades, and are you doing drugs, or do you smoke, are you a, you know, what they call a bad kid. And you're more concerned about those things. If you pass all those tests, and on a scale of 1 to 10, if you are at 7 or 8, you know, you're just fine. You don't really care about these small things. I mean, it's just a drink or something, and you don't really just go and be very careful. Oh my God, what is this? What's he eating? What's he taking?
Well,
so,
and he was an adult at the time, living on
and
his own, right?
And exactly, he's an adult too, and he's doing good. I mean, you know, he's working hard and stuff. He's a good kid. So I didn't pay attention to these things. However, to answer your question, when did he really have more of these? It was actually after he finished college and he was employed, and he had to travel quite a bit. He was traveling to Seattle quite a bit because he was working for a contractor who worked for Microsoft. So there was travel involved, and he was trying to basically work very, very hard, more than average you know, person, because during his transition from high school to college, you know, he lost a couple of years because he didn't really do what he wanted to do. You know, he just went to a community college, and from there he went to a college, and he was kind of feeling that he lost some time, and he shouldn't have done that. He should have been more focused. So he was working much harder, and I used to tell him, don't work too hard, you're fine. And he says, no, I have to make up for all that lost time. And he got you know, very involved in his work, and that's when, you know, you don't really find time to sit down and have a meal or something. You do, but at times if you cannot find that time, you just have these supplements. You say, okay, I have this, it'll take care of me.
So he was just living, so he wasn't eating food, he was just
not all the time,
off of the supplements.
Not all the time, but you know, whenever, like he's traveling or he's at work and he cannot leave the work or doesn't want to leave and can't have his meals, and then he would substitute it with these, what they call dietary supplements, which are not really, you know, they don't replace food. Now, that also wouldn't have been an issue. It's not going to kill you, at least. I mean, you'll weaken, and you know, you'll kind of those things may happen, but it's not really going to kill you. But what happens is that sometimes some of these supplements, as you just when I read this out. You know, they are not really what they are.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you combine this, you know, these supplements, if you have one of this and one of that and one of that, now there's a cocktail effect, and that is what can kill you.
That's what's dangerous.
In his case, yeah, the sodium went extremely low, and it was a very low level. Unfortunately, I must tell you this, that I did know that the sodium has gone down, because he had just recently gotten some, you know, lab work done. And you know, he was insured, and you know, this is a, you know, something that I must say, because it just reflects upon the medical system in this country, which again is very unfortunate. If it was some other country, you know, I wouldn't have lost him, because you have all these privacy and, you know, adults and, you know, 18 years old and you're an adult already and you can't, you know, access the medical records and, you know, all those things. I mean, it was a huge, what can I say? What happened was that I saw Amit losing weight, and I got a little concerned, because he was a very good looking young man and beautiful little muscles, and you know, there was nothing wrong, but he was losing weight. And I told him, I said, "You are losing weight," and he said, "No, I'm just fine. You are overly concerned about me. Don't worry about it. I just have too much work to do, and you know, at times I'm not able to really focus on eating, but I'm just fine." And I told him, I said, "For my sake, can you get some lab work done? I want to make sure that you're fine." And he said, "Sure, I'll do that." So I told him, I said, "Since you're, you know, between travels and whole bit, let me get your information, medical information, so I can be able to make an appointment and you can be able to go to the doctor." He said, "Sure." He gave us all his information. He's a good kid. I mean, gave his social and medical number and doctor's number and whole bit. So I called the doctor and I made an appointment. And so he was able to, when he came, he just went to get his lab done. So his lab results came, and now I want to know, you know, what it is. And I called the doctor's office. Now that I have all the information, I called the doctor's office and I said, "Can you please help me? You know, I'm concerned. I see my son, he's kind of losing weight, and I want to make sure that he's well. Could you be able to, you know, can you," I talked to the nurse and said, can you please have the doctor call me so I can be able to talk to," it was a, you know, it was a female doctor. And nurse said, "Oh, no problem, you know, it's fine, yeah, we'll do that. It shouldn't be a problem." So next day she calls me and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry, the doctor said she can't be able to talk to you. Why do you want to talk to her? You know, let your son talk to me, and you know, he's an adult, and I have these, you know, privacy laws and HIPAA and all these things I have to comply with. I can't be able to speak to you.
Yeah.
You have an adult son." So that was the time when, since I had all his information, I knew some other doctor, and I said, "Why don't I change his primary care physician?" And you know, that
Yeah.
way I may be able to at least, you know, help my son. So I talked to this other doctor and I said, "You know, my son has insurance with your medical kind of group. Can I change his primary care? You know, can you be his primary care?" And he says, "Oh, gladly, I'll be happy to." So he's now the primary care guy. So now he can tell me about the
What's going on?
test results.
Yeah.
So he told me, he said, "You know, the results are good. Only sodium is very low." So I said, "What can happen when you have low sodium?" He said, "Well, you can go into a concussion, you can go into this, you can go into that, you can faint, and it's bad, it's not good. People go in a coma, and all these things. And I said, oh my God. So I got very concerned. So I told my son, I said, can you please, go to this doctor? And he says, you changed my primary care? I said, I did, because the other doctor wouldn't talk to me. I wanted to know about your test results.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, no big deal. That's okay. I'll go and see him. So he goes and sees this doctor. And the doctor tells him, your sodium is very low, and you need to basically, I don't know what he said, eat more sodium, whatever.
Yeah.
So my son comes back, and I said, please take care of this. It's not good. He was telling me that it can be very dangerous. And he said, you just worry for nothing. Don't worry about it. I'll do what he told me to do. And I called this doctor again. It's a very, very sad tale, so unfortunate. I called this doctor again, and I said, doctor, I'm kind of not feeling good about this whole thing. I don't know, I think we need to help my son. He's only on the phone with his, with his clients, co-workers, whatever. He's only busy with his work. And I don't know if he's going to do what you told him to do, to raise this sodium level up.
Yeah.
Can we help him? He said, what do you want to do? I said, can we just bring him in and you can give him some sodium? So I'll be a little relieved. And he said, let me talk to my medical director. I'll call you tomorrow. Next day, he calls me and he says, Mr. Zutshi, please do not call my office again. You have my cell number.
Oh.
Call me on my cell, because I will lose my license. My medical director said, how in the world are you talking to this patient's father?
Yeah.
The patient is 29 years old, and you're talking to his father about his lab work, about his sodium, about his this, about his that. And I was shocked. I felt helpless. I said, what shall I do now? And I told him, I said, can I meet the medical director? I mean, why are they doing that to you? He said, please do not even call this office.
Yeah.
They are very upset with me, and this may cost me my license. And I said, I don't want you to lose your license, but what shall we do about my son? And he said, don't worry, I told him what to do, and he should be fine. So I was very sad. It was like as if I had a premonition, like something is happening. And I am extremely depressed, sad, and I said, how can we help this guy? So he calls my son Amit, and he said, I'm going to come, this weekend I'll come home, and we'll watch some movies, and we'll do this and that. And I said, oh, awesome, come on over.
Yeah.
This is only 2 days after this doctor spoke to me, which means sodium level is still
Low.
very low, very low.
Yeah.
So I said, come over, and he came over. He was a little late. He was at work, and he said, we can't watch the movie tonight, we'll watch it tomorrow, but I'll be home about 10:30. Then he ended up coming probably about 11. In the meantime, I slept. I said, that's fine.
Yeah.
In the morning, I wake up and I see the bathroom lights on downstairs. I just went to shut the lights off, and I see water flowing. I said, why is the water flowing? I go there and I see him, his head kneeling on the kitchen, bathroom sink. And I just go, I drag him, because he had fainted. See, same thing happened.
Yeah.
And I dragged him, and called 911. They came, and he was still kind of not opening his eyes. But he was kind of struggling and telling them, hey, I'm home. You know, where are you taking me? I'm home. So he was, you know, he was fine, but he just had fainted. So they take him out and put him in that little ambulance. And he just opened his eyes and he smiled at me. And he closed his eyes again. And 3 days, they couldn't revive him. They could not. He never came back. Now, what does this tell you? It's just your medical system. You know, all these rights and privacies and, you know, HIPAA and all these laws they have made. I mean, I still remember when my kids were in high school and stuff, and I used to be on top of their grades and stuff and whole bit. And once they were 18, you call them and you tell them, how's my son doing? And say, we can't talk to you. We can't talk to you. Why can't you talk to me? They're living with me. They are my dependents.
Yeah.
I pay for the fees. I pay for the education. I am the one who is asking you, how is my child doing? Sorry, you have to get that paper signed by them that we can talk to you. Now the same thing happened. You know, if I was in a different country, if I hadn't come to this country, if I was in India, none of this would have happened. Something else might have happened. Maybe he had a car accident. Maybe, you know, death keeps no calendar. We all know that.
Yeah.
People die, you know, like just couple of weeks back, my dear friend, his son, 33 years old, he was an Air Force pilot and called his father from Middle East and said, I'm coming home to celebrate your birthday. He just took off in his plane crashed near London, dead. Anything can happen anywhere. You know, there's no guarantee. But when you talk about an incident like this and you talk about, you know, the circumstances surrounding that, like how did this guy perish? That's the time when you kind of feel, like if I was in India, I didn't have to worry about these rights, you know, these HIPAAs, or I could have just gone to a doctor and the doctor would have come, he would have done whatever needs to be done. But here, you know, I'm not saying that it's all bad, but some of these laws, I think they need to revisit them, like the parents' rights. Does parent have any rights at all? You know, and that's also about your adult children.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes when you have a problem at home, you know, you have disabilities, you have many things which can happen. You know, it's after all human body, anything can happen. What rights do we have? You know, if it is, you know, like taking them to the doctor and doing this and doing that, everywhere they will have, you know, the rights, the privacy, you know, it's the privacy. You can't access the records, you can't do this. And that kind of bothers me still, because nothing has changed. It still is exactly the same. And I wish someday they can find something in between, where you do respect, you know, all the laws and rights and everything, but you also have some kind of a amendment, you know, where you say, well, under these circumstances, yes, like in my case, now if I'm so concerned and if the sodium is so low, under those circumstances, I have a right, you know,
Yeah, because this is
to
life-threatening.
life-threatening.
Yeah.
It's life-threatening. I mean, when you go to medical school, I mean, what do they teach you? What are the ethics? You know, you are there to save lives.
Yeah.
But these people are only worried about their bank balance and getting all these big homes,
Some of them.
which may not
Yeah.
be there,
Yeah.
you know. But some of them, you know, not all of them. There are some wonderful
Yeah.
professionals, and you see that they are wonderful. So it's a system. you accept them, and you accept so many things which are happening every day. But I, for one, had to go through a long struggle. After, even before my son passed away, I had to go through this struggle. And unfortunately, when he passed away, I went through a lot of struggle. I wrote the book, and I went to Washington so many times, meeting all these members of Congress and Senate, and I wish I could tell you, how much hard I worked. Again, as an individual, even though a little later we also formed a foundation in his name, Amit Zutshi Foundation, and which is meant to basically educate masses, about this menace.
And after writing the book and writing down your story, what kind of reactions did you get by to people in general, and were any industry, like supplement industries, attacking you or going after
I
you
got
or
some
anything
phone
like that?
calls, but those were not really a lot. It was only when something would appear in the newspaper. I remember something appeared in the Argus local newspaper here, and in San Jose Mercury. It was about basically, my book, about my son and about the supplements. And I remember I got some calls, and calls were bad. But it just lasted few days.
That's
And I haven't ever heard back from anyone.
Yeah.
Calls were like, who are you, and who are you here to blame this wonderful industry? I'm surviving only because of supplements, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. And I said, hey, I have absolutely nothing against what you are using. Maybe you're using the right stuff. But we're talking about the industry at large, and
Industry in general, yeah.
FDA having no control. We're talking about that. There's no accountability, so on and so forth. But I did get those kind of calls. And when I finished the book and went for book signing, I vividly remember one of the assembly members who was an assembly member, not the one that I was talking about earlier. He took my book at the book signing, and later he called me and he said, Jeevan, you really saved my grandson. My grandson was exactly doing the same thing. He goes to gym a lot, and he plays sports, and he also had all this trash in the house. But after reading the book, I just went and I looked and I said, let me read these read the fine print, and I found out that this is exactly what you are talking about. I immediately threw that in trash. I told this guy, you are not going to have those again.
Yeah.
He says, thank you. And there were, at various book signings, there were people who came to me and said that exactly same thing what happened to your son happened to that girl in Vallejo. One was in Sacramento, and one was two or three were in Fremont itself. And it's very strange. They were kind of close to the same age,
Yeah.
27
And in the same
through
area.
30.
Yeah.
And so there has been a lot of response in that sense. And in my own small way, it's not New York bestseller or something.
Yeah.
It's just a small effort. But wherever I have been able to reach, I have given a lot of these books at my events, which I do. Like I do one event every year.
Yeah.
It's a major event called Unity Dinner. And I have been giving books, so people can read. And there are a lot of people, they call me and they say, thank you. It's a good effort. And we have learned quite a bit about this. People lose track of these things. I mean, there's so much news every day. Now, why would you be interested in just reading about supplements, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much else to read, and maybe incidentally you may. I'm not saying you won't, but you may but you have to really reach out and you have to tell people,
Yeah.
and you have to make them aware, and that's what Amit Zutshi Foundation we have been doing. It was actually idea of my younger son, Rahul, and when we made the foundation, and he has been taking a lot of interest also in helping me reach out, and you know.
Yeah. And now you're taking your story and you're making it a vision.
Yes.
You're making it a featured film. How did that idea come about?
Well, you know, I'll share with you. You know, losing a child is not a very small, you know, thing to happen in life.
Parents should never have to deal with losing a child.
I pray that it doesn't happen to anyone,
Yeah.
but it does. Our prayers, I don't think anyone cares about what we pray about, you know. But it happens, and it did happen to me, and you know, it was a struggle. I just wanted to recreate my son. I just wanted to do things where he's there, you know, if it's not in person, but you know, I thought of having something in front of my home with his, you know, with him there or something. It was so many thoughts came to my mind, and I always, you know, kind of felt that movies are a good resource. You know, you reach out to people, and a lot of people don't read books that much, but movies, they don't find it difficult to watch.
Yeah.
So this idea was lingering in my mind, but I said, movie, and how? I mean, it's a tough job, you know. I don't have any expertise. How do I go around making a movie? But I constantly thought about it, and in my mind, you know, when you think about something constantly, you always find a solution. And you know, when I was in a plane traveling, like I said, lobbying, you know, going from Washington to here, I see somebody next to me, and so, you know, you talk, and how are you? And the person would say, yeah, I work in Hollywood. Oh, what do you do? You know, I'm a producer. Oh, awesome. So I take their number, call them, talk for half an hour, and get ideas, you know, like what this is all about. But unfortunately, didn't have much luck, because whenever I told them that I want to make a movie, nobody was really, you know, they didn't find it very exciting, because either they were themselves doing something like that, or you know, they had no interest. Like, you know, it's a business where, you know, people have to have some interest.
Yeah.
So finally, I, you know, was subscribing to some of these e-groups you get. You know, you have the San Francisco group, and you know, this group and that group. So, and so one of these groups, you know, they just wanted some. They had these movie auditions. So I thought, let me go check it out, see what does this mean, what do they do. So I went there, and that's the one who is the director of our movie now. So I go there, and I tell him, he had a senior role, and I said, you know, I have not come here really to be your actor, but I just wanted to see what's happening here and what's going on, and meet with you and meet with the rest of you, and you know, get a feel for this industry. And he was very appreciative of my honesty. He said, well, you still talk about something. Just say something, you know, not about my movie, but about anything, who you are and all that. So I just did that. And then while I did that, it just came out from my heart. I said, you know, my son passed away, and I wrote a book, and I want to make a movie on, you know, based on that book. I don't know how I will go around doing that. So this guy later, he told me, he said, can you give me a copy of the book? And I said, sure. So he called me, we met at a coffee shop, I gave him the book. He said, I'll be back. I'll come and get back to you within a month. I want to read this book. he gets back to me and he says, I'll help you make a movie. I'll direct, a movie. So that's where it got started. And we spent almost a year just talking about, finances and sponsors and how to raise money and, who might be the potential, kind of donors. And so we almost spent a year going through all that, till one day I told my director, I said, what's the least, how much do we need? He gave me an amount and I said, let's get started.
Nice.
I will, dig into my savings and I'll do it. Because for a year, nobody came forward, nobody really,
funding is
the
very
people that we
for
had
independents.
targeted.
Yeah.
And some people, my director, he knew them.
Yeah.
So we met them and meetings and stuff, and then they never, got back to us, because nobody wants to invest money in movies. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't because they don't know. I mean, they don't have the faith, like, where is this movie going to go?
Yeah, especially the independent industry.
Independent industry, it's hard.
Yeah.
So then we got started, and I have to really give a lot of credit to the director. He worked very hard. He's a very sensitive individual who feels for, these, like he got very touched. He said, I'm extremely touched, and I would definitely like to see that we make a movie on your son. So then we went through so many, so many different, editions and stuff. I mean, he wrote the script. It was very well done. Then there was a little change. Then there was another change. And we felt that if we have to make a documentary, it's going to be a lot of work and a lot of explaining. And, as beautiful as this country is, people can sue you also. There's all these sue mongers.
Yeah.
And say, come on, prove to us that your son, was killed by that supplement. Prove to us. Now, what proof do I have? All I had was few supplements which I took to the hospital,
And his medical.
and I gave it to the doctor, and I said, I see these in his apartment.
Yeah.
And he said, thank you, very helpful. During those 3 days, I told you he was in the hospital. And they gave me a receipt listing all those supplements. And after my son passed away, they said, yeah, they can cause death. They can cause liver failure, they can cause, this, they can cause that. But there's no proof. Now I have to prove that he had those supplements. Now they're going to say, where did you get them from? What proof do you have that he bought them? All these things. And then you become liable for, lawsuits. So we basically have this beautiful family drama, and it's loosely inspired by my book, and it just basically talks about,
Your story.
a father, who is desperately seeking answers, like what happened to my son. And he does basically go after the manufacturers, the industry, which is again now a drama. I mean, who do you go after? I mean,
Yeah,
these are
exactly.
multi-billion-dollar
You have to make it
industry. You
entertaining.
wouldn't even know who they are, where they are,
Yeah.
and so but it's a drama. So we just basically show that the father is able to go and get a hire a detective and so on and so forth. Very interesting.
Yeah.
I actually have to commend all those people who have been involved in this, in this work.
And you have the trailer, right?
The trailer is ready. Yes.
Great. Let's see that trailer.
My son is dead. He is dead! Don't you understand? How do you suggest I get his permission, huh?
Okay, people, it's time to bring up the man you've been waiting for. The one, the only, the rock star. Put your hands together and make some noise for Drexel King!
This is our 10th successful year of championing healthy living. And I couldn't be prouder to announce the launch of our next generation weight loss product, Kariba Ultra.
My son was taking these pills.
What are these?
I don't get it. Why was he worried about weight loss?
Tell me what is going on.
I just want to know what happened to my son. That's all.
Contains a proprietary blend from the Kariba Research Labs.
The label can say supplement, but it should be classified as a drug, and there can be adulterants in here. You have no idea what's in them.
You never told me. What do you do?
You mean, for a living? Sort of self-employed. I haven't really figured it out yet.
His name is Enrico Fisher, small-time private investigator specializing in infidelity cases.
It's quick as a bullet. Sometimes you'll sit in bed and wake up and realize how fast everything is gone. I couldn't save Amit. Maybe I can save someone else.
Are you listening to me? This is your passport to freedom. Take it.
We'll find out what he's after, because the last thing we need right now is a PR nightmare.
Wait, just like, hello? Hi, are you looking for someone?
They're the kind you don't mess around with. They'll think twice to spare a son of a bitch like you.
You are so naive. You have no idea who you're up against.
Mr. Fisher, one can easily start a fire. Putting it out is a different matter.
That's just one company. It's a whole system we must change.
Saving the life of one person isn't going to change the world, Mr. Rayner.
But for that person, the world changes.
Wow, that looked like a very powerful trailer. I actually know a lot of the actors in that trailer.
Really?
So, yeah. So in your movie,
Aren't they good?
They're very good actors. And it looks like you filmed everything locally in San Francisco area.
Yes, we filmed locally, San Francisco, Berkeley, Santa Clara, Sunnyvale, Fremont, and some other places.
Great.
Which were not too far.
Yeah. And was it hard for you to be around the filmmaking process and kind of reliving this story?
It has been very hard. I mean, all these years have been very difficult, but one thing I must tell you, Connie, and also to those who are listening. Once you immerse yourself in a cause, what you essentially are doing, you're not doing anything for others, you're doing it for yourself. I mean, of course you're doing it for others, but you're doing a lot more for yourself, because essentially you get completely immersed in dealing with it. Like I'm making a movie. Now I'm thinking about the movie, I'm thinking about raising funds, I'm thinking about dealing with all these, various aspects of the filmmaking. So what happens in the process is that you minimize your own loss, and slowly it diminishes. I mean, the pain is there, don't take me wrong, but the pain is not what it would be otherwise. So that's the beauty about community work. That's the beauty about doing service, if you do it in good faith. About the movie, yes, it was very tough, because now I have to see the pictures of my son. The director is asking for, do you have a picture when he was 9 years old, when he was 16 years old, when he is 15 years old? Can you show me some videos? Can you show me this? And I have to see him, and it's more painful to see him. Because what you do is you're trying to shut the mind, but then this is not allowing you to shut the mind, it's opening it, and it's painful. But in the process, you kind of feel good about it. You say, well, I'm trying to keep my son's memories alive. I'm also trying to reach out. I'm also trying to go and, do things for others who may be experiencing similar situation in life. So it slowly, diminishes your own pain.
Yeah.
So that's my experience. But you're right. Yeah, it's hard. It was very difficult. You have to go through those albums, and it's just painful.
Yeah. And what stage is the film at
The
currently?
film, Connie, is ready.
It's ready.
Yes.
Yay.
In fact, this last weekend, we had that, what do you call it, color grading.
Color correction.
Color
Yes.
correction,
Yeah.
color, it was done, and we got the movie. There's, I think, some item which that DCP something, so something had to be done. So I am actually flying. I'm going to Los Angeles tomorrow. We have a conference
great,
there.
Great.
So I'm going to go and pick up the assembly.
Great.
So
we'll see it
looking
soon.
forward to premiere and screenings.
Mm-hmm.
Going everywhere. I have some friends who have already offered to screen the movie in their areas. I have some wonderful friends in
Great.
Houston and
Yeah.
Chicago and South Africa, Paris, and they have committed to screening. So I'm hoping that we'll continue this effort, reach out,
Yeah.
so people can be able to see and get more educated. And that's the only way I can
Yeah.
avenge my son's death.
And where can people go to learn more about the film and your book? You can get your book on Amazon.
Yes, the book is, of course, it's on Amazon,
Mm-hmm.
but anyone who wants to get a copy, they can always reach me. My name is, Jeevan Zutshi. You can Google me, and my number, everything will be there. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, and these wonderful things that we have these days.
Mm-hmm.
And also we have created a Facebook page.
Great.
And
For the film.
as the name of the movie is The Last Smile,
Yeah.
so you go on the Facebook and just say The Last Smile, and you will be able to access that Facebook page. So you will get updates, you will get all the information about screenings, about the premiere, and that's how I'm sure that a lot of people will be able to see the movie. I'm pretty
Wonderful.
excited about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm excited for all those parents, I'm excited for the youth, and all those people who might find it useful.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jeevan, for being here and
Connie,
telling your
thank
story.
you so much, and I have to really tell you, I thank Sujay Sarkar publicly.
Yes.
He has been like a, what can I tell you, like an anchor. Even in 2010, I had an interview here, and we were able to reach out to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And now again, and thanks to you, Connie, you are just awesome.
Thank
and
you.
Looking forward to see you at the premiere.
Yes, I'm looking forward to the premiere. I'm looking forward to talking more with you and possibly the director about this incredible film and this story.
Absolutely.
And we'll definitely be following up with you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.